Alright, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss show. And in today's episode, if you guys seen, I can't, because I don't know when exactly I'm gonna post this TikTok video, but there's a TikTok video where I was talking about a new hater that emerged. Yeah, this guy, he came from the Thomas the Tank Engine fan base, and he's upset about some comments that I made years ago. And I feel that I need to sit down and take the time to explain it for the new fans and followers and subscribers, any and everybody anywhere. Because yeah, some people may be confused. It's all like, okay, what's your beef with Thomas the Tank Engine? Like, what? Where did that all come from and stuff? So to give you guys a little bit of a backstory, so there was a person on YouTube back in 2015 that I was getting into it with. I think some people may be familiar with that name, Glenn Gregan. And so for those that need a little bit of a backstory on him, yeah, that was the kid I threatened to kick in the throat if he came anywhere near me, because no, at the time he was threatening my life, talking about and that was the thing, like I feel like a lot of times, like, you know, people really, they showcase their stupidity by accident, because he goes on to say that he was going to, I think he was going to set me on fire and kill me, and then he was going to starve me to death. Either one or the other happened first, but I'm thinking to myself, one of those two actions is already gonna kill me, so what, you gonna revive me and then do the other? Like, that's what I mean. I'm like, man, you know, people be trying to argue with me, and it's like, I guess this is what it feels like, you know, when you have an education. This is what it feels like when you're smarter than, I guess, like, those around you. Because yeah, it's like people say things like that, and it's like, you didn't think that one through, huh? You just said it because it sounded cool and stuff. So, but nah, this new hater, I'm gonna read what he said. And matter of fact, let me go ahead and bring up the tweet. But no, so Glenn, he really had it out for me back then, and he did kind of disappear, because I think that's what it was. It was a lot of my fans, they were going off on him, because they was like, no, you need to leave TMossBoss alone. So anyways, let me see if I can find that I, for some reason, can't. I can find it on my phone, but I can't find it. Okay, I'll just open it up on my phone, because I was like, I looked it up and I didn't see anything recently, but I was like, I don't know why it's like that. But yeah, let me go ahead and pull it up on my phone real quick. So, all right, so here we go. Okay, so I'll read that tweet in a moment, but yeah, just continuing on with the whole Glenn situation. So Glenn had disappeared after my fans was going off on him, and then he came back in 2016. And so I wasn't really trying to go back and forth with Glenn, and I knew that he was an emotional kid. So I'm like, okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go after things that he like. And I'm like, and then after that, I'm like, hopefully he gets the message, leave me alone, let me be, I don't want to be bothered with you. So I went after the one thing that he kept posting about, and that was Thomas the Tank Engine. I think because I remember seeing him post a little bit about it before, when he had, because I can't remember if he did take down. I don't think he took down that original account. I think he just stopped uploading on that account so he can upload off of this new Thomas the Tank Engine fan base account. So anyways, yeah, he started uploading on that account, started harassing me, you know, giving me problems all over again. So then that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna go after stuff that he likes. So then that's when I had did this video where I was talking about, because he had like some other people in his corner with them, and I think one being, it was somebody that was older than the both of us, because Glenn, I think, was in high school at the time. I'm trying to think. I was 19. I was getting ready to turn. I was 19 going on 20. But no, yeah, and this guy, I think whoever he was, like, he was older than us. I can't remember the exact age, like maybe 25, but I do remember he was older than us. I noticed that, and I'm like, that's kind of weird. You know, a 25-year-old person pretending to be a train from a kid's cartoon show. Like, I know that this is a show primarily watched by kids. Like, yeah, there might be the memes and all that stuff being made by the adults, but I'm like, the original show, the base show, without the memes, without the jokes, yeah, that primary audience is nothing but a bunch of kids, some preschool kids, if not maybe some, like, you know, young elementary, because I know, like, I feel like when it gets into like the later elementary years, you ain't really watching like no PBS. Like, babe, at least I wasn't. Like, I think at that time, what shows was I watching? I think I had just got into wrestling. I'm trying to think, when did I? No, I didn't start watching Family Guy until I was in middle school. But I always was kind of watching. I never watched anything on PBS. I was always watching stuff on like Cartoon Networks, like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes. What else? And then, yeah, SpongeBob, like stuff like the shows that had a little bit of comedy. I'm like, fam, I already get an education at school. I'm like, I ain't gonna come home and just willingly sit down and watch an educational show. I'm like, no, that's what school is for. So anyways, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, what does a 20-something-year-old man? I'm like, you have access to the internet. You could go out and get you a job, because that's because I remember that's what they were trying to, like, some people were trying to say. They was like, oh, I watched the show to learn about trains. Fam, you can learn about trains either by going out to getting you a job where it's focused around trains. You could go to school, like college, stuff like that, learn about trains. You could go to a library and get you a book about trains, watch some YouTube videos. I'm saying, like, there's so many different resources, but for you to be pretending to be a train from a TV show that's primarily watched by kids, that's kind of weird. I'm like, that's one of those things, because the funny thing is, switch the roles around. Let's say it was me pretending to be a train on social media and I got exposed. Oh yeah, people would be running with that story. So it's a problem if I do it, but it's normal if other people do it. Yeah, no, I'm not. I ain't hearing that. So, but anyways, I had went ahead, did this video where I was talking about that whole situation. And then, yeah, because I think it was him, and then I think it was another person where I think they were in their 30s, because I remember seeing an account where it was like they had like their age, but they were based off of one of the trains from that show. And so they had like 30 something, and then the guy that was cool with Glenn, he had like 20, and I'm like, that's weird, bro. I gotta talk about that. So I did do a video where I said, like, yeah, if you are a certain age and you're watching that show, you might be a pedophile. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, why can you not just be who you are, like who you actually are? Like, put your government name down, show your actual face that's on your driver's license and stuff. And that's who you need to be on social media. But it's like when you're pretending to be, it's kind of like, you know, watching the guy driving the white van that says free candy on the side of it. I'm like, nah, you know something shady is going on with that. Because it's like, why are you doing that? So at the time, that's how I was feeling. And then as the time went on, I realized there are some people in this audience that I offended. I apologize to those people. You know, I said what I had to say and I moved on. But then it was funny because a lot of people, they started turning on Glenn because they was all like, fam, you caused all of this unwanted attention to us. And it's like, but I think they did say from that. And then he was also causing problems amongst other people. And I think he was giving them the same treatment he was giving me when he very first came to my channel. Because when he very first came to my channel, he was like, oh, I'm a fan of you now. And I hate this guy. Then he'll be all like, oh, I hate you now. And I'm a fan of the original guy. So I think that's what he was doing, and people were getting tired of it, and so they kicked him out of that fan base. And then after that he just disappeared. You ain't really hear from Glenn no more. So fast forward today, I'm scrolling through social media. I'm scrolling through Twitter. From time to time, I like to do that, look my name up, just in case if I missed any tweets about me, if I need to see something out of the ordinary. And then I see this tweet where the guy, he goes on to say, hold on for a second, because it was like it switched. I don't know why Twitter be doing that. Like, you'll open up Twitter and it'll just randomly refresh the app, and I'm like, fam, let me do that. If I need you to auto refresh, I wish there was a way to turn that off. But anyways, so the guy, he goes on to say, and this is an actual legitimate tweet. He goes on to say, can we just effing kill the YouTuber TMossBoss? He put my name in all caps. For saying anybody over the age of 7 who likes Thomas the Tank Engine is a pedophile. Can we just string him up by his innards and slit his throat, chop his genitals off, and mail his dismembered body to his family? You know, it's one of those things where I see that, and I know most people will probably be all like, dang, man, like, you know, you should, like, you should be worried. I'm not, because people like this, they say things like this online, but then when it comes down to actually, you know, seeing me face to face, I'm not trying to like make it seem like I'm a dangerous man that, like, oh, but it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not just going to allow somebody to do some stuff to me. I'm like, yeah, you definitely going to go back wherever you came from messed up too. I'm like, I'm going to put up a fight. I guess if I don't make it out of that fight, I'm going to put up a good fight. One of those fights where I'm like, you just know not to ever do no stuff like that again. So, but anyways, yeah, I seen that and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, fam, you showing this much anger over a YouTube video that I uploaded years ago. And I apologize for that. See, that's the thing where I like what trips me out about people like this is that they find the videos where they know that they can talk about it. But when it comes down to the other stuff, they don't want to talk about it. Cause I know I uploaded an apology video shortly after I did the original video. So that's why I'm like, fam, you do your research, but you don't do all of your research. Make that make sense. Like, explain that to people and stuff. So, but then I didn't even know that he made some other tweets and stuff under it and things. So then he goes on to say in a second tweet, he says, because he had no right to say that, and then he act confused when people rightfully hated him. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up in prison for the very thing he accused Thomas fans of, because every accusation is a confession when it comes to people like him. I don't have no reason to talk with kids, and that's the thing where I'm like, the amount of times where I have talked, I've been talking on this for a while. I've been reading stories about this for a while. And I think that I remember that was, I can't remember if I referenced it in the Thomas the Tank Engine situation, but I do remember talking about this story. And it's a name that still sticks with me till this day because I've never heard a story like this before. But to retell this story, and may she rest in peace. And, and it's like, it's sad though, where it's like when you hear things like this. But anyways, there is this girl that was, I think she was in middle school. I think there was this girl that was in middle school. Her name was Amanda Todd. So Amanda Todd, she had, was having some online interactions with some random guy. I believe the guy wanted to see some explicit photos of her. I think she did send them, but then she, I think at some point in time had called the whole like relationship off. Like she didn't want anything to do with the guy anymore. The guy sent the photos to other kids that she went to school with, and then they started bullying her. So she had to switch to another school. I don't know how, but the guy found out the other school she went to, and then he sent the photos there. Same thing happened all over again. Next thing you know, Amanda Todd ended up offing herself. And I remember hearing that story for the first time, and I'm like, I've never heard nothing like that before. I've never heard, somebody going through some stuff. But it's like, then you hear even like with adults where it's like how, cause I think it was the one wrestler, Paige, how she was talking about when that like, all that like, the explicit stuff had got leaked out of her. She was talking about how much like mentally that was taking a tolling on her and things. And I'm like, man, it just, to me, it trips me out when you put people through situations like that, but then to put a kid through a situation like that. I think they did say that the guy, they found out who it was. He did get arrested. He went to prison. Why would I want to put myself through some stuff like that? Why would I want to put myself there? I talk about that all the time, how I would never want to go to prison for any circumstances, so even if it is like, yeah, let's say I get into a fight and I beat the person up badly, and let's say it's an undercover cop, it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm going to try to do any and everything that I possibly can on not going to prison, but if I'm the aggressor, if I'm, then it's like, yeah, then I'm like, I set myself up for failure. But when it comes down to stuff like that, why would I want to do some stuff like that? So that's why I'm like, the thing is this, I guess like just displaying my actions as a human being, I'm going to display how I won't do some stuff like that, but I'm not going to get offended by it. I'm not going to be upset. Like, I think most people would be upset to be accused of some stuff like that or to even be put in that conversation. But I'm like, I know I'm never going to do anything like that. So that's why I'm like, but for you to get so upset to where it's like you want my dismembered body to be mailed to my family, you don't find it where it's like you kind of crazy for saying some stuff like that. Like, that's the thing that be tripping me out about the internet, is that it be the most like minimal stuff that you're talking about, stuff that it's like, okay, most people wouldn't get offended by that. Like, and I had said that in the TikTok video. I see content all the time, like Chud the Builder, for an example, all the racist things that he was saying, but just when you hear other like, you know, just racist stuff, because I've been a content creator for 16 years, so I've gotten racist comments myself. I didn't seen racist videos. I didn't see, yeah, there's like platforms where they welcome in racism and stuff, like Twitter for an example. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, man, it's just it's a sad world we live in where people got to be racist. But it's like, but then I guess like when it comes down to like the stereotypes, where it's like, oh, all black people are good for is this, all black people are good for is that, and it was like, oh, it's like black, because I remember when with reaction videos, when I started doing those, and black and people were saying like, oh, black people, oh, they're lazy, they're oh, they just sitting around and doing nothing and things. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not lazy. I'm like, I put in the work, you know, and I'm like, but it ain't no different than anything else. It's like, okay, you say that I'm sitting around and doing nothing. What's the difference between me doing a reaction video and somebody playing a video game? You're still sitting there, and in most cases, people will look at it as like, okay, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting down playing a video game. You're just sitting down doing a reaction video. With playing a video game, yeah, it's like with depending on the game, you gotta be strategic. You gotta figure out how to play this game. You gotta figure out like how to, I guess, conquer the video game and stuff. And with a reaction video, you can't go into a reaction video just displaying no emotions, no character, not saying nothing, just sitting there in silence. Yeah, some people have tried that, and I think they were like doing it as a meme, but that type of stuff don't last that long. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, fam, I find things to talk about within the video. If I don't, then I challenge myself. I'm like, okay, what can I say that can be related to this video? So that's why I'm like, fam, I'll tell you this much. When it comes down to content creation, I've never struggled with it. I might have my moments where I have to do numerous takes on a video or a podcast episode, whatever and stuff. I might have me some technical difficulties with a stream, but I get the job done. You know, so I'm like, I put in 9 to 5 hours just like how anybody else would with their job. That's one of those things where I'm like, you know, when they get to talking about that, like black people being lazy with content creation and stuff, and I'm like, and I see so many different black content creators, you know, achieving great heights when it comes down to content creation. I mean, I Show Speed doing his like the touring stuff, and then yeah, you know, just making a name for himself. I mean, this was at one point in time a kid just sitting in his room playing NBA 2K. Now look at him. I feel like it is safe to say that he is probably the biggest black creator right now when it comes down to content creating. You know, it's like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I feel like that, I'm trying to think of an athlete, you know, like but he has like that status to where it's like, you're going to recognize him. Seeing memes of him and all these other different, but I'm like, you going to tell me that man is lazy? You going to tell me that I'm Dante is lazy? And it's like, and look at how much he's grown as a content creator. And so that's why I'm like, I guess like going back to what this guy was, you know, what he was talking about and all that stuff, getting back to that tweet. I don't have a reason. If somebody says something offensive about black people or black content creators, I don't have a reason to be offended, because I know they're not talking about me. And if they are directing it, like let's say somebody does a video directed towards me and they're all like, oh, you're this, you're that. And it's like, okay, I know you haven't watched the videos, because I have where people then said that to me. They was like, all you do is just sit there in silence. I'm like, fam, there's been times where I've reacted to a video that was like 30 seconds. I dragged it out to being a 5-minute video. And then there's been times where I reacted to a 5-minute video. I didn't dragged it out to 10 minutes. There's been times I reacted to 30-minute videos. I didn't dragged it out to an hour. I will find some sort of way to, I guess, to keep people coming back to my channel. I feel like that's like one of the hardest things that you could do as a content creator, is say, yeah, you can easily gain that audience, but can you maintain the audience? Can you keep them coming back and stuff? So yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, but I guess like when it comes down to offensive content, I'm like, there ain't no, I guess with me, I have like thick skin when it comes down to that type of stuff. I don't get easily offended by some stuff to the point where I'm threatening, you know, gruesome, murderous crimes against somebody. But anyways, then he goes on to say in the last tweet, he was like, and while we're at it, let's get Digby the GOAT for lumping us all with the uncreative cringe parasites we're stuck with and pretending stupid unrealistic OCs are poorly made fan series. Yeah, I think that he was talking about somebody else. But anyways, yeah, it's just it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, to this guy, what's his name? Goetzia, bartender and things. I'm like, yeah, I wonder, does he have like his age? No, he don't have his age, but it's like, yeah, it's one of those things where he based off of his cover photo, yeah, he is a Thomas the Tank Engine fan. But I'm like, the thing is this. And to end off this podcast episode with saying this, what I had said years ago, saying that if you're older age watching Thomas the Tank Engine and talking with kids online, you're most likely a pedophile. And to this guy, this Goetzi, whatever his name, bartender, you're most likely a pedophile. Because why would you get this offended by a video that I had uploaded years ago? I feel like that fan base, it wasn't like how, at least, I don't know, maybe that fan base might still be a thing today, but I'm like, I don't know, I haven't really seen nothing from them. Like, there have been times, like, you know, where people they have came from that fan base and gotten on me, but I'm like, to say what you said, I'm like, that's kind of crazy, you know, but anyways, but I'm like, yeah, the video was for people like you. It's like, you are most likely a pedophile. You get that offended over the video? Yeah, you probably then said some things and did some things, because I guess I'm like, what reasons would you have? You just said that that's like some self-reflection, like, oh, I'm most likely the pedophile, and you say that. Did I get upset? Did I say that, oh, we need to cut up your body and mail it to your family members and stuff? No, because I'm like, I know that that's not my life, and that's the thing. If you know that that's not your life, then what reasons are you getting upset for? So yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, it's people like him where I'm like, I don't know. Maybe he just has like some serious mental issues, you know, but I just don't know. Like, I'm starting to downplay when people, because I feel like that some people would try to defend that and be like, oh, he has autism, you gotta give him a break, cut him some slack. Nah, I'm like, it's things like that where I'm like, he's definitely suffering from something, but that ain't the autism speaking. You know, it's like, I know people would try to, you know, justify it, or them like, there ain't no justification for that. What that man needs to be, he needs to be in prison, because he probably is gonna kill somebody one day. They gonna mess around and say the wrong thing. If one day, if we look up and his account, he hasn't tweeted off of it, and it's just, you know, the account just disappeared and stuff, most likely he probably was like, oh, I realized I didn't say some crazy things, I'm just gonna abandon social media. That's why he ain't really revealing his people. And that's the thing too, people say crazy things like that, they don't never be revealing their names, they don't never reveal their face, and it's like they just want to remain anonymous. And I'm like, why is that? Why is it that you guys, people say crazy things but then they want to remain anonymous? It's like, nah, bruh. It's like, let's show that if you, I guess, like, if you really stand by that hatred, then it's like you don't have no business, or you don't have a reason to hide who you are. I'm like, show who you are and stuff. But yeah, it's like, most likely if we were to do one of those like background checks, because I think, yeah, that's like some new form of technology. You can do like a face search on somebody, and then yeah, most likely it's like he probably is gonna be living in one of those neighborhoods where it's like for other pedophiles and stuff. Because I'm like, yeah, you can't live off up in no other neighborhood. People's phones start going off and they all like, oh yeah, there's a pedophile in the neighborhood now and stuff. I'm like, yeah, you know, lock your doors, close your windows, you know, hide your kids, all that stuff. So, but yeah, I just think that it's silly to get mad over some stuff like that. It's like, you know, if you know that that's not your lifestyle, then it's like, what was the reason for the tweet, you know? So, but yeah, anyways, with that being said, yeah, I just found it kind of crazy. I was like, dang, man, I'm like, all that for a YouTube video? And mind you, a video I uploaded years ago. So, but anyways, yeah, with that being said, talk to y'all later. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you are new to the channel, and peace.